Hey guys, it's me Chandra again. It's a new update from Genshin, so it's the time for What Should You Pull edition for 5.8. So this time between Ineffa, Citlali, Mualani, and Chasca. And also I will discuss should you pull for the weapon or like constellation. So yeah. But this time I will not make so much detail, I just make something in brief. So let's get started. First character is Ineffa. Ineffa in general is a strong sub DPS or off-fielder electro character. Of course, her main selling point right now is this brand new reaction, Lunar Charge. Lunar Charge is basically electro charge but fancier or stronger, and even like have this fancy font. So yeah, maybe if you really like to play electro charge like Taser or something like that, then this one can be another solid alternative too. She also pretty much quite flexible in terms of team building. As per right now, you just need any literally hydro, let's say like Yalan, then yeah, the other two characters is flex. You can pair like Alhaitham, or even you want to pair with just like Nahida or whatever, like two flexible characters, which is already pretty much good though. Of course, as per right now, having Ineffa have advantage to fight the brand new boss, the Cactus boss, because that Cactus boss kinda want you to trigger Electro Charge or Lunar Charge, but considering Lunar Charge is better, so yeah, it will be more advantage to have Ineffa compared just like normal Electro Charge. And small good things also, she can provide shield, so still pretty much good for survivability. In general, she's just very similar like Escoffier, but in Electro with the new reaction. As for Ineffa downside, I don't think she has a major downside, but this is more like things to note. So for me, Ineffa a typical character that most likely a character that designed for the future, just because as per right now, she's still not as impactful as how Escoffier released. Escoffier released, she just make the entire cryo just resurrect from the dead, especially Ayaka. When you pair with Skirk, she's just become like one of the best DPS just because Escoffier. So Ineffa is as per right now, yeah, she's good, she's strong, but it's mostly over as just a great alternative of Electro Charge, like fancier Electro Charge, but that's about it, nothing grim breaking. So remind me same like Emily. So that's why I say like she's most likely to be prepared for the future, especially for the probably in the new Not Cry gimmick. We will focus about this Lunar Charge reaction or whatever this new fancy reaction. So I think this is where she will shine even more. Even right now, she doesn't really have any dedicated artifact for her though. So probably when Not Cry release, she will have like actual artifact that literally meant for her. So yeah, also team that meant for her, maybe like enemy that literally we really need whatever like this lunar reaction, and that will be make the value of Ineffa will become more important. As per right now, she's just a great alternative but nothing like a breaking, but for the future she's maybe can be a very good option though. But in the end, I still have my recommendation for you to pull for Ineffa, which is first, maybe if you're a visionary or something, you're a person that care about future, then I think she's pretty much a candidate that will be good for the future. Mostly because I believe when Not Cry come, we will focus with this lunar whatever charge reaction, and mostly maybe the boss require you to trigger this special lunar reaction or deal more damage if you trigger lunar reaction, like gimmick something like that, like how Night Souls doing with Natlan character in a piece, right? Yeah, they literally give so much incentive with that. So yeah, maybe if you care about future, Ineffa can be a good reason for you to pull right now. Another thing is that maybe if you prepare for future, maybe Not Cry character that you already have in your mind, I think Ineffa can be a good like support for them, I believe. Another thing, maybe you're a fan playing in Electro Charge reaction and you want another like type of alternative, then I think getting Ineffa can be a fresh air and good alternative in here, because Lunar Charge actually just better than Electro Charge, so it's pretty much good for you. And lastly, of course, if you like the character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. And also if you just need a quite versatile Electro sub DPS, then yeah, Ineffa can be a good option, because I already told you, right, you just need like Hydro, and that's basically it. Another two character is flexible and it's already pretty much a good team, so she is quite pretty much flexible in terms of like Electro sub DPS. And lastly, of course, if you like character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. For Ineffa, should you pull for early constellation or signature weapon? For me, both C1 and signature weapon is actually equally good, but as per right now, signature weapon is a little bit better just because it buff both Ineffa personal damage and also the lunar charge damage for the tip. But C1 actually can be a better option if we have more lunar charge team character, because C1 is just solely focused the the entire team buffing the lunar charge damage though. So if in the future in Notcry we have more and more lunar charge character in the team, of course C1 can be better. But as per right now, the weapon is a little bit better because the one that can only trigger is lunar charge is Ineffa. So getting both personal damage and buffing lunar charge is more beneficial for right now. As per C2, this is already actually better than signature weapon. This is mostly will buff personal damage from Ineffa. But if you just want to focus just like buffing lunar charge, C1 R1 is actually a better option. So that's why in general I still recommend for you to just pull the signature weapon, then just go with the Constellation afterwards. Second character is Citlali. So Citlali in general is very good cryo support. Whatever that cryo related like reaction, she will become a good like additional team in there. Specifically or especially for Mawika, she buffed Mawika significantly just because she's the best candidate in Melt right now. Not even like Escoffier, because Escoffier is more like freeze like focused, but Citlali is more universal. And right now the best teammates for Mawika is basically Citlali right now. It just make the whole team become so good. And if you already have Mawika and Citlali, I can say all your content that you clear right now all become easy in general. So yeah, but another case also, like if you want to pair her in the Frozen and of course recent character that released which is Skirk, she's still pretty much a good option in Skirk team. And other than that, whatever that like cryo related you want to pair with Risley, even like with Ayato, you want to pair with Ayaka, Ganyu, it still pretty much can work with her too. Even Arlecchino, it's also another good option with Melt Arlecchino with Citlali. So in general, she can just support whatever like cryo related reaction because her buff is actually pretty good, and also over like shield, that's also pretty much nice for defensive utility. And what makes like Citlali even better because she can equip the artifact, the scroll set, and actually that's pretty busted artifact set because it can give you a bunch of damage boost to the entire team. Another thing, she can equip TTDS or Trilling Tails Dare Dragon. It's literally buff your main DPS by a lot. So yeah, because of that, she provides a lot of utility and support in whatever like cryo related. She actually quite universal cryo support. And a little bit, if you like exploration, Citlali actually can help you a little bit because she can just fly. Same case like Auroron, although Auroron is more accessible I think, but I think it's also nice to have. As for negative or downside for Citlali, I cannot think any big downside or major downside regarding her because in general what she is doing in her specialty is actually already pretty good and pretty much a universal cryo support. But I want to give you notes is that if you're looking the best support in freeze team, especially like Skirk, then pull Escoffier, not Citlali, because Citlali is good in pretty much like general stuff in cryo related reaction, but for freeze itself, Escoffier still provide better because Escoffier is literally a character that focus on freeze. So because of that, I just want to give you a reminder that yeah, she will not as good as Escoffier if you looking something in freeze. And as for my recommendation for you to pull for Citlali, which is first, if you are maybe Mawika main or if you already have Mawika, I really recommend to get Citlali just because Citlali with Mawika is just a branded team. It just make it everything so easily. Like most of my run around with Abyss become so easy because of like Mawika and Citlali. So yeah, because of that, if you have Mawika, I really recommend for you to pull for Citlali. Second, if you need a universal and a very good cryo support, whatever that if you need like that related with the cryo reaction, pretty much nice to have her. If you mostly main in like cryo related reaction in there, Citlali can be quite like useful for you because she can fit in different teams. And lastly, of course, if you like character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. For Citlali, she will pull for early Constellation or signature weapon. For Citlali, easy. If you don't want to R5 the signature weapon, then straight up just going for the Constellation because that weapon is only worth for you to go if you go all out until R5 because mostly you already have TTDS or we can say Trilling Tails Dragons. That weapon already good enough to buff your main DPS, and that's actually already very busted weapon. You don't need the signature weapon anymore. It's only give more Citlali damage, but in the end Citlali damage is not really our concern that much because the one that will deal damage is mostly the main DPS. So because of that, go all the way with your Constellation. C1 is also pretty good. So it's basically you will get the Stellar Blade that deal damage if you, whatever you do, like normal until burst, that based on Citlali elemental mastery, so it's still pretty good to get extra damage. But of course, if you go C2, this is also become a really good, mostly because the pyro and hydro res will be decreased even more by 20%, so this is also really good. So basically just go straight up for the Constellation. Maybe if you want to aim up to this until C2, that's even better though. Third character is Mualani. Mualani is pretty much a strong main DPS. Mostly you kinda want to focus her on Vaporize because she is actually really good at nuking damage, so utilizing Vaporize is actually really good. So you can actually pair right now with Mavica, so it also can work like double stuff like DPS or sub DPS type. Also she can work like on some funny team, let's say like Skark team. Actually, Mualani is pretty good solid option as a last flexible slot because Mualani can equip basically scroll sets and also like the TDS that can buff Skirk, so it's kind of funny, but yeah, it actually can work too. So in general, her most upside is basically because her nuke damage, and basically this is really good if you want to fight, let's say like a single target enemy, or we can say like boss. So in that case, usually she actually really good. And her nuke damage is also pretty nice to see. Sometimes can hear like 200, 400, like depends of course on your build. And in terms of horizontal exploration, she's still pretty much good because the board moving actually pretty fast. So even not on the water, even on the ground, is still pretty much good too. As for downside or negative regarding Mualani is that her gameplay is quite stiff and janky, because B1 in Mualani is that to pump 3 times the enemy and then after get 3 stack press basic attack, and in that case sometimes she can hit the wrong enemy or it can miss, and then sometimes it's already missed and run out of Night Souls. Basically you didn't do any damage, you lose a lot of DPS in there, which is quite annoying. Your rotation already messed up. And what also can be annoying part is that when you already get 3 stack, hit normal attack, it didn't trigger the reaction. That's also another annoying part regarding like Mualani. So yeah, Mualani in general, her control, her gameplay is quite janky and stiff, which makes it quite annoying. And for my recommendation for you to pull for Mualani, which is first, if you still need a strong main DPS that mostly in Vaporize, then yeah, she can be one of the option in here. Second, if you like to enjoy a DPS that have a nuke damage or like a big damage in one single screenshot, then yeah, she is one of the candidates. Maybe you can entertain by the big number that she can get. Another thing, if you need a character that good at single target or mostly like boss, then Mualani can be a good option. Another reason, maybe you still need a character that good for horizontal exploration, especially you need a character that can cross the sea easily or water easily, then Mualani can be the option in here. And lastly, of course, if you like the character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. As for Mualani, she will pull for early Constellation or signature weapon. In general, signature weapon is a better option because of course give you crit damage, boost the max HP, and also increase normal attack. That's also pretty much good in general. However, if you have like Sacrificial Jade R5, the battle pass weapon, then C1 can be a better option just because of like every your first Sharky Surging Bite, the full stack of normal attack, your Shark missiles will increase the damage by 60%, which is pretty good of Mualani max HP. So yeah, this can be triggered every rotation, which is pretty much a nice. Also like in term for exploration, it's still beneficial because it will consume less of the Apology Stone in here, so Mualani can stay longer in exploration, which is still pretty much good. And of course, if you want to go for C2, then C2 is always a better option than signature weapon. And last character is Chasca. Chasca is also a strong main DPS. I think the main upside of her is that she is actually very easy and convenient to play. Basically, the only things that you need to do is holding basic attack and just let the bullet do the things though. And yeah, maybe additional stuff like dodging, something like that. But yeah, it's very easy as play Nivelette though. Also in terms of reaction, you don't really need to think too much when already on field. You only need to prepare or plan your team basically. Like you kind of want 3 different elements or at least 2 different elements, and that's basically it. So you don't really need to kind of like well timing, let's say like Mualani. So mostly like she's a convenient option of main DPS, I can say. And additional stuff, she is also good some of the bosses, let's say like Papilla. Papilla, she's also pretty good because Papilla kinda you want to target like multiple hits, right? And basically Chasca, like the bullet like will hit multiple times, so that's quite actually really good with Chasca itself. And also Chasca really good for vertical exploration and also farming like minions, just because you only need to hold basic attack. It's just auto aim, everything is just so easy, and enemy in open world also kinda squishy, so basically like her damage it's already good enough to kill everyone, which is that's why she's pretty convenient too in terms of overworld. As for Chasca Downside or things to note is that sometimes it can be annoying using Chasca on certain type of enemy, mostly enemy that can hit on the air and they hit really hard that can break Chasca resistant interruption. And yeah, when you're already getting like interrupt like that, mostly you will waste your Night Soul, and then Chasca usually need to recovery. You already lose your Night Soul, and of course losing DPS indirectly in there, so sometimes can be annoying. Some of the even moveset that hit on the air, let's say like Hydro Tulpa, you cannot even dodge at all if you don't use your sprint. So you have to sprint, which is also waste Night Soul and lose DPS in there. So yeah, it's quite annoying on certain type of enemy using Chasca. Another thing is that this is not really a downside, but I just want to give you a reminder is that because Chasca bullet generation, some of them is RNG. So if you really get like a really bad luck or bad RNG from the bullet, it can slow down your clearance times. It's not by much, but it affects you at least a little bit. But it never until come to the point like, wow, I have to retry. No, but of course you can just notice the difference when you have a bad RNG. And as for my recommendation for you to pull for Chasca is that first, if you need a strong main DPS that relatively easy and convenient to play, then I recommend Chasca, because Chasca is really easy to play, literally much more easier than using janky Mualani though. And second is that if you don't want to really bother in terms of timing the reaction, like how like Mualani or even like Mawika where you should timing the reaction, right? You just don't really care in general, or you just want to play in the mixed reaction, then Chasca can be a good candidate in here, because Chasca you can just play like everything at once, like overload, like literally vape, everything just like mix at once in there, because that's her bullet works, right? Just mix everything at once. You don't even need to care about the reaction anymore. It just like let the bullet do the things. And third, if you need a good character for exploration, especially vertical exploration, I think she's still pretty much a good option in here. I think one of my favorite too, or you like to farm minions also too, she's also good because just so convenient, just holding basic attack, all the enemy die, you don't need to even aim. And lastly, of course, if you like the character gameplay, feel free to pull for her. For Chasca, she'll pull for early Constellation or signature weapon, and both C1 and signature weapons is actually equally good, just very depends on your preference. If you care more about just like stats and power, then signature weapon can be a better option because give you critical damage, give you attack and buffing charge attack, which is really good. We don't even have any like free to play option that give you critical damage. That's why like signature weapon is focused more on into power. However, if you care more about like balancing quality of life, convenience and damage, then C1 actually can be a better option, because mostly in here the effect is that your second bullet already become a elemental bullet though. It's no longer animal, which is indirectly increased damage. And also the elemental bullet conversion increase also by 33%. So this is actually pretty good for only like 2 different type of element, because usually at C0 it's better if you have 3 different type of element, but at C1 it's enable you to have more confidence. Even at only with 2 different element, it's already pretty much like less RNG random, which is pretty much a good for convenience. So in the same time also can be buff the damage. So yeah, this is more a balance between quality of life and damage. If you ask me, I still will choose C1 just because this is just a good like the convenience, like allow you to have more freedom in terms of team building. I think it's pretty huge too. That's why I will go to C1 compared to signature weapon. And of course, if you want to go for the S2, this is already better than signature weapon. So yeah, this pretty much is regarding what should we pull at 5.8. If you ask my verdict which one that I will pull, if you ask my personal bias take, I will just skip this patch, considering they already like announced the lineup of the character that will appear on Notcry. It just make me lose my hype to pull on this patch. However, on the serious note is that just very depends on your priority. If you just care about just right now current timeline, then Citlali is the option that I will choose, just because Citlali is universally good for any cryo purpose reaction and also like really good for Maoika, and Maoika right now is one of the best DPS. So yeah, in general I will pick Citlali as per current timeline. But if you care like mostly about future, like you are visionary, that you want to gamble a little bit, which is I think the case, Ineffa can be a better option, just because of course I believe for the future we will dealing with this lunar whatever reaction, and then because of that Ineffa probably will get more advantage. Maybe future like bosses will rely more with this lunar gimmick, or even like we need a character that need to be paired with this lunar gimmick, then of course Ineffa can be a good like or even better option. And because of that I say for current timeline is Citlali, but for the future is Ineffa. If you like this video, feel free to hit subscribe button, like, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.